Canada is a perfect country. I love Canada. Hi there, would you like to have some samples?
Hey guys, Doug from Punch Your Line Outdoors. I'm here in Carling, Ontario, just a little bit north of Parry Sound, Ontario, and I'm here at Norse Brewery. The people here are unbelievable. They've invited us here to have a look at their brewery. They're very community oriented, and they're also very open to anybody dropping by, coming over to say hello. Beer is synonymous with the outdoors, as we all enjoy a cold beverage when we're out there.
Different timing of the boiling process. Once the boiling is done, you check for the initial gravity. This allows you to see how much alcohol you can get out of your recipe. Then the idea is to cool it as fast as you can through your chillers, and that little squarish element is the chiller. It uses glycol and water to cool it down to about from 9 degrees to about 20 very rapidly. The little tank next to the chiller is our yeast tank. That's where we activate the yeast that we use, and it gets added to the beer as it travels into one of the fermenters. So everybody notices the accent right away, and because we're called Norsemen, kind of everybody's wondering about the relation to Vikings. Vikings did settle west of Russia, and yes, I do have some Viking blood in me as well as my parents. But how did we come about Canada? It's been a long way. We've traveled quite a bit. I think a lot of families in Russia did, taking back 20 years ago. Just things worked out that you had to travel, you had to move. So yeah, we did come to Canada about 16 years ago. First Quebec and then Toronto. Lived downtown Toronto for a very long time. I studied there for about 5-6 years. It worked out for everybody. It was very convenient. My mom comes from the medical field, my dad from the engineering field. I guess at some point they had enough of Toronto. They wanted to move somewhere where it's a little calmer. And it was not hard to see this as an option to do this full time. A lot of people wonder, how did your parents, how did you get into it? And I'm saying, no, I didn't get them into it. We went into it together. It was a family idea. It takes about a week in the fermenter to get to your alcohol percent that you need. After the fermentation is done, you transfer it into the bright tank. This is also where your kind of lab work comes in. You want to check the yeast cell count and make sure the product is doing well, how active it is, what is happening to it. After all that is done, you transfer it into one of the bright tanks. So the bright tanks take about 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on the clarity that we want to achieve in our recipes, because we're not filtering them. Everything is taking place naturally. This is also where we drop the temperatures close to 0 degrees, sometimes lower, to preserve the product. Cold temperatures preserve it naturally without having to add anything. Where we also carbonate the product, you can see the red kind of tubing, that's all carbonation, your CO2. And from the bright tanks, we package it. So 3 options that we use to package our product is bottling. That's our very simple bottling line. Very straightforward, nothing too special about it. We wash our bottles, make sure there's nothing in them, put them on here, purge them with CO2 to make sure there's no oxidation from oxygen getting into the bottles, fill them up with beer and put the cap on. That would be your little capper right there. The bottles are rinsed, then we'll show you how we put the labels on, and off they go. Shelf life in bottles is about 3 months, simply because the light can get to them. If you keep them in a dark place, they can last longer. Second packaging we do is with our cans. Canning we use mobile canning services, very convenient. Guys come up, can for a day, and kegs. So draft product goes into kegs. Out of all of Ontario, we would travel to different locations. It would always seem to be something about Muskoka and the Parry Sound region. We would always come back here. Then we finally got a house/cottage, like a renovation project, started coming up every weekend to do that. We had our careers in Toronto, so we didn't really look to switch. Beer brought us all together in the evenings, and we would kind of start wondering, it's great to have sampling sessions of different craft beers of Ontario and support everybody, but we would still go and buy European imports. Why? Maybe some nostalgia, we traveled to Europe quite a bit, maybe some of the traditional flavors, weren't quite sure, but always felt a little bit guilty about it because you have plenty of Ontario craft beers, you need to support those over the European import. And then we hit it. It's the flavor. It's the more plain, simple, yet flavorful beers that you can just go to, enjoy with different meals, enjoy by themselves. And over time, the idea grew in us, and we kind of sat there in Toronto thinking, it's either now and we're giving it a proper try, or we're just rolling with our lives and we're never going to get back to it. And we decided to give it a try. My parents moved up in the area full time, started building this. This was bushland, nothing here. Took about 2 years. We were still in Toronto going about our careers, researching recipes, experimenting, European styles, what makes what. 15 months of experimentation, this thing comes together in 2 years, and we almost thought like we have to go with a brewmaster to make things professional and proper. And then something stopped us. We thought, well, if we're planning to sell this and invest so much into this, we better know this from the very first ingredient until the very last kind of stage at the bright tank, and bottles and cans and everything. So we took the risk and went full scale from the experimental batch, which is only 50 liters, to a full scale batch, which is 2,400 liters. And it went well. Took us about 23 hours to get done, but we did get it done. And that was our first dark ale in December of 2016. And ever since then, we've been open, introduced the red in a month and a half, and then the golden ale in another month and a half. The golden ale, Norse golden ale, Norse red ale, and Norse dark ale. We keep our names simple. We're not going after any particular style, rather after the flavors, and then we merge the styles to get at those flavors. For example, our golden is a Belgian ale, but it's brewed like a Pilsner or a lager, has some of the ingredients of a Czech Pilsner. The red is an Irish red, but it includes some of the German varieties of hops for the herbal spice in there. And the dark is a merge between roasty Scottish ales and traditional English ale hoppiness, but it also has been lagered, so it gives you a very crispy, clean finish rather than creamy kind of porter or stout component. And yeah, we focus on those three, quality over quantity. 100% natural, the way beer has been made 2,000 years ago. Not one brewing aid touches the product. In Ontario, the laws are quite flexible. You can use a variety of ingredients, close to 100 or more than 100, and still call yourself all natural because the ingredients are naturally derived. We go by the rule of 4 ingredients. It's the grain, hops, yeast, and water. Nothing else touches the product. Everything else is achieved through temperatures, selection of raw ingredients, and aging. We just wanted a beer that you can enjoy with your meal, like a glass of wine. In Europe, culture of beer drinking is huge. There's a different style of beer for different food pairings, different events, different time of the day. In Germany, people start drinking their beer at lunchtime. Office clerks, anybody, that's normal. It's okay to go back to work after that. Why? Because nobody probably overindulges. The recipes themselves are quite filling. You can't have 3 or 4 of them. You usually stop at 1 or 2 during your lunchtime and off you go. We wanted the same thing, a plain kind of culture of beer drinking, just like your wine drinking. You have a glass of wine with certain cheeses, or during certain events, or with your dinner. Same thing works for beer. You pour yourself a pint and you can enjoy it either by itself, and it should offer enough flavor for that, or you can pair it with your favorite meal and feel satisfied afterwards. We also are not planning to leave those recipes and never go back to them. We're actually standing quite strongly behind them. Any feedback we can get, no flattery, just very constructive criticism, anything. People throw ideas at us all the time. We're very open to them. I don't think craft breweries are competing against each other yet. I think we're still competing against the bigger breweries, and their promotional support and finances they have to take over the market, we're still less than 10% of the beer market in Ontario, if I'm correct. And I think if anything, we just benefit each other right now. I don't think it's going to work the same way in 10 to 15 years. I'm pretty sure things are going to start, this beer is made the way beer has been made 2,000 years ago. Nothing touches it. No clarifying agents, no coagulants, preservatives, extracts, sugars, nothing. Everything is in its purest form. Highest quality raw ingredients. We ship them in from all over the world. That's another challenge. But it's worth it because then it shows through in the final product. With regards to fundraisers, small fundraising events, we're always happy to provide our beer and make sure that those organizations can make extra funds for their causes. If we can do sampling events, we're always there. For example, a new business starting out, a new venture opening, we're always excited for new ideas and can always be there and provide free samples just to kind of help your causes, help ourselves get the name out there. So anything works, and if you want us to see it at any event, feel free to reach out and we'll try our best to make it there. Right now, all over across Ontario in LCBOs, the Golden is available in cans. Some places still have bottles. We're transitioning currently. About 140 locations anywhere from Sudbury. We're getting a shipment into Timmins next week, and pretty much anywhere, just look out for us and hopefully you'll find us. We're always available at the brewery. We pretty much live here, so we're always here. There's plenty of contact information online, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our phone numbers, the brewery's phone number, pop in for a visit. Any way you'd like, we're very flexible. Even if you see us at events, it's always us. Just approach us and ask a question.